Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Babylon the Great and the Agora. Now, this lesson, I just want to touch on Revelation, the 18th chapter, and go into that because I did pretty much one of Elder Pastor's moves. I went to the Bible Hub, and I'm not afraid to say Bible Hub. Shots fired, shots fired. So I went there, just to see what they said about this particular verse in Revelation, the 18th chapter. And pretty much when Esau doesn't know what something is, they either don't speak about it or they'll, try to say it's the Antichrist, or they'll try to say it's something spiritual. It doesn't really apply to anything physical. But when you read Revelation, the 18th chapter, this is a clear indication of what this particular place would be doing in the last days. And you cannot explain that away. You can't say, oh, that's just spiritual. No, because the book of Revelation is a book that is written in symbology, right? In a parabolic type form, but it represents something physical. All right. So these devils err. And when they don't know something, they just wing it. And because they're Esau, they can do that and get away with it for the most part. Like you have these devils that'll try to so-called debate the Israelites, and then they'll say, nope, this means this, that, and the other, and nobody questions it, But then when we say something, then we have to go and break it down to the least common denominator. We have to go through every nook and cranny. We have to jump through hula hoops on fire, and even when we prove the points, they still don't accept it, but that's okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to go to Revelation, the 18th chapter, right? First and foremost, we're going to go here and we're going to read the main scripture, the main point. Then I want to go to the Bible Hub, right? And show you what they say here. And then we're going to go to the beginning, to the first verse, and then break it down. So this is Revelation 18 and 11, right? Because I was curious to see what they would say about this scripture here. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. So I wanted to see, okay, what or who are they saying that this place here is where there was a lot of merchandise being sold, and people would mourn, or the ones that were selling would mourn because they could not sell their wares anymore because of the destruction of this particular place. So I went to the Bible Hub. I read through most of these. Now, I didn't read the whole thing. I just kind of skimmed through some of them. And they give you like a whole bunch of, like Elder Pastor says, word salad. But one thing I found interesting was here in the one, there's two of them, Jameson, Fawcett, Brown Bible Commentary. I found this pretty interesting. It says merchandise, Greek, cargo, wares carried in ships. And that's exactly what it is. Ship lading. And that's exactly what it is. He said Rome was not a commercial city, because most of these scholars, they pretty much say that the book of Revelation is dealing with ancient Rome, and it's not. It's dealing with modern day Rome, and it's not talking about Italy over there. It's talking about a place known as spiritual Rome, all right, which is America, right? It says Rome was not a commercial city and is not likely from her position to be so. So I found that interesting because they cannot apply this to ancient Rome. It says the merchandise must therefore be spiritual. So you see, since Esau doesn't have something to tie it to, as far as Rome being a commercial city, now they have to make it spiritual. Just like when you read certain scriptures in the prophecies that they don't understand, like Elder Pastor said, they'll say that was the Antichrist, and it's not. So it says, and it's not likely from her position to be so. The merchandise must therefore be spiritual. No, it's actually physical. You broke it down in the Greek. What the word merchandise means is cargo, wares carried in ships, ship lading. That's exactly what it is. But they're saying it's spiritual because they can't tie it to ancient Rome being a commercial city. Even as the harlot is not literal. And the harlot is literal, but it's not talking about an actual woman. It's talking about a particular place that is comparable to a harlot, where everyone goes, to get money. Now, a harlot was one that got money from other people, men. But America is getting the John so-called money, and she's getting money from them and giving money to them. All right. It says, but spiritual, she did not witness against carnal luxury and pleasure seeking. So you see, they're at this point here, from the point where it says that it's spiritual, this is the wing part. This is the wing master part. The source of the merchants gains, but conform to them. Blah 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 blah. Right. On the same subject, the judgment on mystical Babylon's merchants for unjust gain. All the merchandise here mentioned occurs repeatedly in the Roman ceremonial. So pretty much, since they can't explain it, they say it's a mystical Babylon. So in other words, this is just something that's allegorical. It's not really anything that's physical, and they err in that. Now the other one that went into it was the pulpit. Where is it? Pulpit commentary. They go into it a little bit better. It says, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her. Weep and mourn. The historical present. The kings have been mentioned The merchants and next the seamen are referred to, showing the wide distribution of Babylon, and that's exactly what it is. So, what place is where this large distribution is coming from? It says, and forbidding the application to a single state or city, the description which follows is analogous to that in Ezekiel 27, Isaiah 23. For no man buyeth their merchandise anymore, their cargo, and it's talking about a single place. You could say it's not a single state or city because America is a vast land. You have many cities and states, and you have many different ports where these wares are being shipped out and being mostly shipped in. We are naturally reminded of the action of the second beast in forbidding to buy and sell, which is the MOTB, which is the micro C-hip, and the elder Karataza from the Vegas camp, the head of the Vegas camp, just did a lesson on a vision that this, I believe it was an older Jake woman, if I'm not mistaken, and she said when she was walking through this place, nobody was talking to themselves, but all you see was something glowing in their hand or something along those lines. You could go and watch the video. I forget, he has I think somebody posted it on another page. Let me see. Just bear with me 1 second. They posted it on GMS Strictly Testimonials, right? But it's a Christian black woman's alleged vision. Okay. And this is exactly what's coming. It says Alford here recognizes the difficulty, and listen good. Alford here recognizes the difficulty in applying the prophecy to Rome, because they tried to apply the book of Revelation to Rome, which is where you get preterism. All the prophecies already happened. That's what they're saying. When they can't explain something, they say it's either done away with, it's the Antichrist, or that's spiritual, or whatever the case may be. So Alford here recognizes the difficulty in applying the prophecy to Rome, either pagan or papal, because you have some that say that, Babylon the Great today is the papal Rome. It says, I leave this difficulty unsolved. Why is he going to leave it unsolved? Because he doesn't know, because he's not a prophet. Surely the Lord power will do nothing, but he revealeth his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. And going all the way back to Elder High Priest Ariah, he's the one that the Lord gave the prophecies and the breakdowns of the book of Revelation to, which was in turn passed on to us. And nobody else on the planet was able to break them scriptures down. You had some that might have hit certain points or might have understood a few little things here and there based off things happening in the world. But he's the one that was given the full understanding, and he passed it on to us. Now that we're going out there breaking it down, now you have these big geniuses, so-called, saying that nope, that's not the breakdown, this is the breakdown. But where the fuck was your breakdown prior to us going into it? That's the question. I leave this difficulty unsolved. Why? Because he doesn't know. Just like Elder Apostle Tar always speaks about Cambridge. When they don't know something, what they do, they'll put weep and mourn in present tense. No matter the sorrow is even more purely selfish than that of the kings. Strictly cargo. And they don't say nothing because they don't know. But this is Cambridge. Right? So this individual here says he's going to leave it unsolved, the difficulty unsolved. Why? Because it's a mystery. But the mystery has been revealed to the servants of the Most High, the prophets. The details of this mercantile lamentation far more nearly suit London than Rome. And it doesn't suit London than Rome, which shows you that this individual is hinting at something that's more recent. But what he doesn't understand, because it's not given to him, is that indirectly it's hitting on London because they're the ones calling the shots. But really, it's the daughter of London, which is America, which is Babylon the Great. It says, then Rome, see the interpretation given to the harlot in Babylon of Revelation 17:1. So Lord's will, I may even go into that. So let me leave this up. So what I did was I typed in, where does the U.S. rank in shipyards in the world? The United States is home to the largest and finest shipyard in the world, enabling of sturdy and seaworthy vessels. The nation boasts 154 private shipyards across 29 states and the U.S. Virgin Islands. See, like when this individual said it's not relegated to a single state or city, you're right, because it crosses all up and down the East Coast, all up and down the West Coast, and across the Gulf, which Trump and his pompous ass renamed from the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. This shows you how these devils operate. It says the U.S. ranks among the top shipbuilding nations, especially for naval vessels and large commercial ships. Large commercial ships. Babylon the Great. Samsung Heavy Industries in South Korea is a major player in the global shipbuilding market. Other notable shipbuilders include Hyundai, Samho, Heavy Industries, and Imperial Arsenal. South Korea, Japan, and the U.S. together account for 95% of the entire shipbuilding industry. So America is Babylon the Great. Now, as of 2021, China became the largest shipyard as far as, the buying and selling. Why? Because we're in the waning years of America. Nevertheless, they weren't like that prior to that. They had to build up from the money that they got from America. So they got rich off of this country. But they took that money and invested it in the infrastructure of their country and their military. That's why when America is destroyed, even though on in the media it seems like China is America's enemy, the merchants there will be crying and wailing because they won't be able to sell the things that they make for 25 cents, 50 cents a dollar in their country and sell it in America for 5, 10, 15, 20, $30, however much. They're not going to be able to make that money anymore. Okay? So when we go back to Revelation 18:1 now, it says, and after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. It says, and this is a chariot that came down. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, is fallen. So this is an account of the destruction of America, because prior to this, in Revelation 17, it speaks about how this great merger of these 7 heads with the 10 horns, and the 10 horns, or the 10, those 10 kings coming against America with the beast and destroying this place with fire. So here the angel is accounting the destruction of this place and the effect that it's going to have on the rest of the world, especially those merchants that have traded by sea with America. Okay, you can't attribute this to Rome. You can't attribute this to either pagan or papal Rome. You can't attribute it to anybody else except America. And has become the habitation of devils and the hold of every foul spirit and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. And this is dealing with the desert creatures, the unclean desert creatures, animals and birds, reptiles and all of that, that will be inhabiting this land after the smoke clears. And we don't know how long America is going to burn for. It could burn for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, 100 years, 300 years. We don't know. We don't know how long it's going to burn. Right now, there's a fire in Pennsylvania. I forgot the name of the city that's still burning to this day, about 200, what is it, 60 years later? Or is it more than that? I forget how long. And it's been burning underground for a long period of time. And it's still burning. And it says it's going to burn for a longer period of time. And that's just that one little section. So just imagine the whole of America on fire. It's going to be burning for a long time. But once that smoke clears, that's why it says, "Where the worm dieth not, the fire is not quenched," because you can't put this fire out. Just like they couldn't put that fire out in Pennsylvania, they can't put the fire out here in America, because they're not going to be able to put the fire out here in America. Why? Because you're not going to have anything to do that with, because that is the Lord's judgment on America. It says, "For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath for fornication." This goes into their democracy, their philosophies, and their accepting the ways of America, becoming Americanized, right, for the sake of being able to gain monetary gain for their country. And that's the reason why they're accepting the ways of America and this democracy and and everything that they do. It says, "And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies." So let's look up the word merchants, right? And the word merchants here goes into the word emporos, is where you get the word emporium. Let's look up the word emporium so you can get an idea of it has to do with business definition, because if not, they're going to give me some mumble jumble company. Emporium, a large retail store selling a wide variety of goods. So pretty much America would be that emporium. So it says a business establishment that specializes in products or services on a large scale, often used for humorously formal effect. So pretty much America is that place that specializes in these products on a large scale. All right. We make mention a lot of times of the wholesale district in America, in Manhattan, in the wholesale district, and just that alone, the merchandise that's sold there is coming from all parts of the globe, everywhere on the planet. You go there, you're going to see stuff made in China, made in Taiwan, made in Bangladesh, made in Peru, made in Ecuador, so on and so forth, made in Mexico and Canada, because this is the center of trade of the world. Now, nations are shifting away from this place, but they're still selling their wares here. They're building up their infrastructure, but that's because we're in the waning years of America. But they still have a presence in the earth, and they still are doing business with these businessmen around the world, and they're shipping their goods here by way of ships. All right. So that's the word emporium. Let me just bring this back in case we need this. So going back, matter of fact, let me shift that there. Emporos, which we read emporium, right? It says one on a journey, whether by sea or by land, especially for trade. So it's something that has to do with trade. A merchant as opposed to a retailer or petty tradesman, right? Because you have um, retail stores, but retail stores that will sell you one or two pieces of whatever merchandise they have, they go to the wholesaler and the wholesaler will sell them bulk for a better price. Then they'll take and mark that price up and sell it to the people. So they might buy a half a dozen or a dozen or 2 dozen or 10 dozen or whatever it is that they're buying from the wholesaler. Then they'll turn around and sell it to you for retail at a marked up price. So if you were able to go to the wholesaler, you'll get it a lot cheaper. All right. It says a merchant as opposed to a retailer or a petty tradesman. So let's go back. So that was the word for merchants, I believe there. Yep, merchants. So these merchants, which are doing this business here, they're waxing rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Matter of fact, let's see what the word delicacies here says. I'm not sure if that's the word lampros. Nope, it's strenos. Delicacies, strenos. It says excessive strength, which longs to break forth, overstrength, luxury, eager desire, right? Because even though it's let's say like fool's gold, right? But people can live in their country and they'll be poor. They'll come here to America and make a few pennies and they'll live a lot better than they would in their country. So to them, it's a luxury, even though they're still poor in the eyes of the super rich, you know? So that's their luxury. That's why Issachar comes here, the other Latin tribes come here to make money. And the money that they make here at one time was a lot more than the money in their country. And when they would send it back, their countrymen, their families down there would have a more of an abundance of money because of the American dollar. But even that's losing, stride. Even that's losing, power. Fuck. So lock it for a minute. Trash. Okay, so let's get back. It says, and I heard a voice, another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins and that you receive not her plagues. That's dealing with when Yahushua pulls up in his chariot, he's gonna deliver the elect out of Babylon the Great. For her sins have reached, and you can read about that in Revelation, the 11th chapter. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High remember her iniquities, because it's time to judge her. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double on her, double according to her works. And the cup which she hath filled to her double. Right. So America is going around the world, destroyed the world, dropped bombs on nations, robbed, raped, and pillaged their way to the top. So guess what? Their judgment is going to be great. When you shall cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. When you shall cease to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. Yeah, because this hoe is sitting like a queen. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow and shall see no sorrow. And that's what the Lord said for America. Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon, the Lord told her, let's go to Isaiah chapter 47 and verse 1. It says, come down and sit in the dust, sit in confusion, because at one time you had control over everything. Now you lost that control. Now you're on a downward trajectory. right? It says, "O virgin daughter of Babylon," because you are the virgin daughter of Babylon. America is Babylon the Great, or the daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, right? Because you are not going to be able to be elevated to that position of royalty that you're used to. O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Why? Because your time is up. You know, tekel, pretty much your time is up. The Lord has weighed you in the balance and you have been found wanting. You claim to be a Judeo-Christian society, but your values and your actions do not reflect the righteousness of the scriptures. It says, "Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is Jehovah Bashem El Shai who judgeth her," right? Because that is the destruction of this place, the lake of fire, the second death. And this is what you will do to a harlot. So it says, "And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her," you see that. How did all these nations become so rich? How were they able to come out of that poverty position that they were in and become such a great trading post, to the world by sleeping with America, so to speak? "Shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning." Why? Because it's going to be breaking news around the world when America is destroyed. Just like when 9/11 happened, everyone around the world saw it and everybody stopped in their tracks. It was like, oh, shit. Did you see that? The towers came down, blah, blah, blah. So that is going to be breaking news all over the place, all over the world. The media, the satellites are going to be showing this place. And after a while, those satellites that have their focus on this place are going to, you're not going to be able to see anything because that soot, them ashes and that fire and, smoke is going to block it out. "Standing afar off for fear of her torment," right? Because they're going to be in different parts of the world looking at this like, oh shit, what the hell are we going to do now? Saying, "Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come." The Lord is going to make easy work of you, fast, easy work. "And the merchants," or the people that trade in ships, the businessmen that trade in ships of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. Why is that? Because there's not going to be any place set up to be able to buy. You ain't going to have no Saks Fifth Ave. You ain't going to have no flea markets, no different department stores. You're not going to have anything that's going to be left here in the soils of America to be able to set up businesses anymore. It says, "The merchandise of gold and silver and the precious stones and the pearls and the fine linen and purple and gold and silk and scarlet and all the iron wood and all manner of vessels of ivory and all manner of vessels of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble." Nothing. And you could buy all these things in America. You could buy the cheap stuff or you could buy a higher grade, more expensive. Depends on where you go. You can buy a regular rug. You can buy a Persian rug. You can buy a rug that's $10. You can buy a rug that's $10,000. You can buy, marble floors from Italy or from different parts of the world, or you could buy something that was made in China. "And cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men," because they still have slaves and souls of men sold here. And you have, spices, you have, perfumes, you have oils, incense, all of that sold here. "And the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee," right? Because you have these nations that come here to America. They have a great diet in their country. They're slim, and they'll come to America, get fat, and get all type of ailments from the bad diet that they have because they've compromised their health to be here to eat the stuff that these Americans eat. You have people people in America, right? You have celebrities that go to other countries and they'll eat the foods in those countries and they'll be fine. And as soon as they come back to America and eat the shit in America that they ate in these countries, they get sick, they feel all bloated, they're all messed up. Why? Because this place here is pretty much a death sentence. You know? It's a death sentence. Everything has freaking chemicals in it, you know? And all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee. Right. The dainty part, I believe the dainty part is the fat, if I'm not mistaken, liparos, the fat, and the goodly is lampros or luxurious, or these luxuries are departed from thee. Why? Because when this place is destroyed, you won't be able to get these things. And thou shalt find them no more at all. The merchants of these things, which were made rich by her, shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing. And this is a cold cut to vocab, because he said that the whole earth is going to be destroyed. So what are these people going to be? They're going to be on other planets. The inhabitants of Mars that trade America, they're going to be up this. Oh, snap! The whole earth is destroyed. How are we going to get, McDonald's anymore? They did have the best prize, didn't they? And saying, alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet. Right. And this is a representation of the fine living of America. And decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, for in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught. And every shipmaster and all the company and ships and sailors, and as many as trade by sea, stood afar off. Now, I want to look up a couple of these words. Riches is Plutos, and every shipmaster, kubernates, where you get the word government from, or the governor, which is the one that directs, the ship, that big ship with that little thing in the back there, propeller, whatever it is, that moves side to side to steer that big ship. Kubernato, steersman, helmsman, sailing master, see, which would be your captain. All right, sea captain, shipmaster. So all these individuals in there that are steering them ships from one side of the world to the other, and sailors. Let's see what else we got. Company Milos, shipmaster. Ships is Pion. Sailors, nautis, where you get the word nautical or water. And as many as trade, ergazomai. Let's get this word trade. Ergazomai, to work, labor, do work, to trade, to make gains by trading, do business. So this is actual, trading. And this is what happens on these shipyards. This is what happens on these shipyards. What you see here are a bunch of shipping containers on these ships. Look at how many shipping containers are on this ship. And all these shipping containers have merchandise from all over the planet. And they come here, they use the cranes, take them off, and then they load them up on these trucks. And these trucks, sometimes they'll put them on the shipping yard, or sometimes, and then from there, they'll put them on the back of these different trucks. And these trucks, in turn, go around and ship them to different warehouses in America. And those warehouses ship them to different businesses all over the planet. Whether it's food, whether it's clothing, whether it's furniture, or whatever it is. All right. So let's go back. And there was another word here we want to get. Let's just let it load up. Boom, boom. By sea stood afar off. Let's see. There was another trade. Nope, not trade. There was another one. I thought it was in here. I guess maybe it wasn't here. City clothed in fine and purple, scarlet deck with stone. Let me see. And cried when they saw the smoke of a burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? Right, because America is that great city that reigneth over the nations of the earth. And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city, wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness, for in 1 hour is she made desolate. And there was another word, I forget what actual verse it was in, but it went into the word Agora, which is the trading place where you did business. See, by reason of her costliness. Yeah, I forgot what verse it was actually in, but there was one of these verses that had the word that was in there. I'm not sure if it was the word market or one of them. Let me see. We're in verse 20, and it had the word agora. Let me see something. Marble. Okay, nah, it's not market. Forgot what word it was. All right, so Revelation 18:20, rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for the Most High hath avenged you on her. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. Supposed to be hastening the day and elated, happy that this place is out of here. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea. That's the representation of the missiles, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. Yeah, because she was established upon violence. See, these devils think that all of that wickedness that they did, they took the land from Gad, Issachar, Reuben, and all the other tribes. They think they're going to get away with all that, all the murder, rape, and pillaging and thieving that they done. They think that the Lord has just forgotten about that. No, this is what He's setting you up for the great judgment, and then after that, you're going to be set up for another greater judgment, which is 1,000 years of hardcore slavery for you devils, you Edomites, you so-called white people, so you can understand. The ones of you that are Edomites, because you have some white-looking people that could be Hamites, Ishmaelites, all other ites, including Israelites. There's going to be a great separation happening. It says, and the voice of harpers and musicians and of pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee, and no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee. And the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee. Right, so no more merchandise, no more selling. No more anything. No more hustle and bustle. No more rat race. No more 9 to 5. No more selling your wares. No more selling on the streets. None of that. It's going to be all done away with. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth. Right. These are the businessmen of the earth that you're in bed with. For by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. Right, you had the world deceived into believing that you, the Most High, you're the Lord, you're the greatest thing on the planet, that they need you. You see, and in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that were slain upon the earth, and that's where the Lord is going to judge this place. And yesterday, the brothers, this weekend, the brothers from a couple of the heads from the Houston camp came up. And, we chopped it up for the weekend, happy to see those brothers again. And pretty much when I finished eating breakfast, I was washing my dish. And as I was washing, my dishes, a thought came to mind. And I said, I can't wait to finish these dishes so I could go out there and tell the brothers, because they were in the backyard. And by the time I finished washing the dishes, they had came inside. So the moment passed, and then they had mentioned something, and then just before they left, I told them, when I was in here washing these dishes, the Spirit was on me heavy that the Most High is about to start making a real separation between those that serve Him and those that serve Him not. And so you're gonna see, and you're gonna see, this is just with the spirit that was on me heavy, that there's going to be a lot of guys that's going to be just moved out of the way. They're going to be moved out of the way. The Lord's going to just grab a whole bunch of guys. And in the past, you'll see 1 or 2 or 3 different individuals being rid of. But as I said, I feel like the Lord's just going to start moving a whole bunch of guys out of the way, because we're getting closer and closer to the end. And I told them, and I wanted to tell them that, But when they came in, the moment had kind of passed. But before they left, I said that. And they said, oh, shit, that's heavy, because we were talking about that in the backyard with the head of the Houston camp. I was like, wow. So the Lord is doing great things, man. It's about to be a very heavy separation spirit. The Lord is going to separate. The Lord said in the very end, then shall be known who are my chosen. You're going to know, you're going to distinguish between him that serveth the Lord and him that serveth him not. So you guys that's been, hands in pocket, losing faith, not on fire for this truth. Brothers got to put a mechanism in your back and twist it to try to get you started. The Lord's going to get rid of a lot of individuals, man, out of here very soon. And this Passover could be a very heavy spirit already, but it could be a very, very heavy Passover. So where the Lord moves out, don't be surprised if a whole bunch of individuals, get moved out the way. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I don't know. That's just the spirit that was on me and the thoughts that were coming into my mind, and it was compelling to where I had to eventually tell these brothers that, and to find out that they were talking about the same thing in the backyard is mind blowing. So hey, man, stay prayed up. Hey, 10 toes down. Gird up thy loins. We're coming into some real turbulent water, and the Lord's going to do some real shaking and shifting, and sifting, should I say. And those that ain't anchored in, they're going to be moved right the fuck out. So like, as they say, either shape up or ship out, because the Lord ain't playing. He ain't got no time for no more bullshit. No more time for laying around the shack, twiddling your thumbs, having that straw in your hat, just walking around aimlessly. Elder Pastor said it years ago, Great Millstone is an action camp. And if you're not about action, then you need to move out, because you're wasting your time here. So with that, I pray that your brothers and your few sisters that's still in there fighting and striving, those of you that are sincere of the hopeful house of the elect, just keep on doing what you've been doing, keep on fighting, keep on striving, keep on growing, because it's about to get real out here. So with that, I pray that your brothers and few sisters have been edified. To the next time I say shalom.